You just get the feeling that this game, more than any other, has been on Joe Schmidt's radar from the get-go. They call the third round of a golf major moving day. This could be rugby's moving weekend.
I really couldn't believe how well they played. I mean, TJ, it took them 1 hour, 60 minutes before they had their very first penalty of the game.
I've been watching Farah Palmer Cup. I've called a couple of games. I'm astonished by some of the talent that's coming through the ranks.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Hi there, welcome to the start of the most important fortnight of the current All Black era. More on that in a moment. First, 5 things that came out of the weekend. Number 1, the Black Ferns' reign as world champions is over. Victims of an inspired Canadian team fired by the knowledge that while others enjoyed the full support of their national setup, they had to crowdfund their way to the World Cup. By the time the Ferns got their game going, they were too far behind, too deep into the match. It was such a great start by Canada. Let's be real, the Black Ferns were never favourites to win the tournament. England carry that tag. But they have been such a great team, such an incredible history of success. There will need to be some questions asked about what could have been done better. Number 2, injuries didn't help the cause, and the loss of Jorja Miller robbed the team of so much X factor. I don't want to kick them when they're down, but when you talk so much about fan engagement being an important part of our national rugby setup, then the refusal to even discuss that Miller injury was odd. It looked defensive. It created unnecessary headlines when it could have garnered a strengthening of support through public sympathy. Number 3, when the CEO branded the NPC as unfit for purpose last year, he was, of course, talking about the economics. But from a purely rugby point of view, it is the gift that keeps on giving. Yes, we had a couple of blowouts at the weekend, but the rugby was at times spectacular. We had a Golden Point thriller. We had a Ranfurly Shield challenge for the history books. The NPC is still a vital part of our game. Talking of the Shield, that's the first time since 1935 that Otago has successfully challenged Canterbury for the log of wood. And for the first time since 1948, they have beaten them in any Shield game. And that's what makes it great. It's the history. And of course, number 5, it is the start of Bledisloe Cup week. And we're saying it every week, aren't we? But this is the biggest match yet for this All Black regime. And it's for real. Again, Eden Park, its reputation as one of the sport's greatest bastions goes on the line. And so too does a trophy that would mean far more to Australia than any points in the Rugby Championship. A championship, by the way, that they actually lead with 2 to play. The All Blacks need to be their Eden Park version and not the Sky Stadium version. You just get the feeling that this game, more than any other, has been on Joe Schmidt's radar from the get-go. They call the third round of a golf major moving day. With the Bledisloe on the line at Eden Park and the Pumas in Durban this weekend, this could be rugby's moving weekend, and it could be seismic. Well, joining us now, someone who has watched the tournament unfold from the Sky Studios, a World Cup winning halfback herself, Kristina Sue. Kia ora, Sue. How hard is this going to be for the Black Ferns to pick themselves up and take on a French team that gave England a decent scrap in their semi-final?
Kia ora, TJ. Thanks for having me. Yeah, look, I think there'll be plenty of mana on the line, and they'll be hurting from that loss, and they'll want to finish this campaign, and do themselves, their whānau, and the country proud. So I know that the girls will get up for this one, and they'll put their best foot forward and hopefully come about with a really solid performance against, like you said, TJ, a really good French side. Yeah,
look, the other thing too, I suppose, all likelihood, this could be the last game for a number of stars of the game, and they'll want to do the right thing by them.
Oh, yeah, I think Portia Woodwin-Whitcliffe is going to officially retire. I think that's been announced already. And Rua Heidemann is an exceptional leader and captain, whether or not she wants to keep continuing in the jersey or whether that be the last of the World Cup campaign. She's played her 50th match was in that semi-final. They'll be wanting to see those girls out, the ones that are retiring, the ones who formally announce it, and really put a good performance on for them.
Yeah. Look, let's give our dues to Canada. We knew they were good, but they were great.
They were exceptional. Like I really couldn't believe how well they played. I mean, TJ, it took them 1 hour, 60 minutes before they had their very first penalty of the game. I don't know a team that's ever done, or that has done that, or any team of recently, and I've been doing quite a bit of I know it's not on the same scale, but NPC, FPC, watching the World Cup, there's always penalties, and but that was just clinical from them, and they shut us down, and they essentially played our game plan.
Quite a lot's been made of the fact that the Canadian team had to crowdfund to raise funds to get themselves there. Now, we know that quite a lot of their players do play in the UK, do play in Europe, so they're accomplished players. But to do that, I just wonder, it's a pretty powerful kaupapa, isn't it? And the thing I draw on is a conversation that I had a long time ago with a guy who was a member of the New Zealand Rowing Eight in Munich in 1972. It's an iconic moment in New Zealand sport, well before your time. I certainly remember it. But he said to me that in those days they were up against the might of the Eastern Bloc sporting machine. They knew that all of those East Germans and Russian rowers, they were full-time, and goodness knows whatever pharmaceutical aids they were getting at the time as well. But he said there was something amazing that happened to them when you're in the last 250, 300 metres of a big race, and you know that the team that you're up against has had all this great support and funding and whatever, and you've been out on the street selling raffle tickets to get yourself off to the World Championship. It has this incredible galvanising effect, and I do wonder whether that might have been one of the reasons why Canada were just so fired up and just so focused on that game.
I think, yeah. I mean, when you've come from hardships and your adversity, that there is a little bit of a psychological edge. There's no doubt about it. I also think you're right, and they've played in the England Premiership. I think 16 of the 32 members for Canada are playing for Saracens and Exeter Chiefs over in England. So they're playing top quality rugby regularly, and then they played the internationals. So they've had a really good international calendar year, and for those individuals playing high level rugby. So I do think that it probably is a combination, and the fact that the last time they played the Ferns, they drew and they were ahead. I mean, the Ferns came back and won, and I think it was overtime. So there's plenty of confidence, plenty of belief, and there probably is that bit of an adversity where you've gone from rags to riches or gone from nothing to something.
Yeah. I suppose the one concern might be that Canada have played their final. We've seen it before in World Cups where teams like, for example, France, I remember getting up and having a blinder against the All Blacks twice to beat them in a semi-final and then just not firing a shot in the final or the next game. Is that a worry for you about the Canadians? Can they make a really good game of it against this incredible England team?
Oh, I really hope that they haven't played their final already, because I think the world needs them to play. Rugby needs them to come out in this final and firing and having you want them to replicate that performance against the Ferns, and I'm sure that belief, and they'll go back and review, and they'll see how the French tested England, and I hope that if there's no niggles, which I don't believe there are, that they can go out and play on that confidence.
Let's look back on the semi-final from a Black Ferns perspective now. The key to it, really, Canada getting out to a 17-0 lead. Now, okay, Canada fired up beautifully. What couldn't the Black Ferns get right in that time?
I think that there were some handling errors that were costly. I think our discipline, wasn't great, which gave Canada chances, to get field position, and then poor kicks. I don't think we executed a kick strategy that well. And yeah, like you said, they had a fast start, and it's hard to play catch up. It really is. I know they were able to have a second half dominant performance against South Africa, but that was, I think, 12 all at half time. They weren't trailing by, like you said, about 3 tries down.
Yeah. Look, injuries, I suppose you have to say, there was a bit of a factor there, because Amy Duplessis, unfortunately, that shoulder injury. And there was this curious business with Jorja Miller. The upshot of that is that a player with genuine X factor was missing from the New Zealand side, a player with the ability to do something extraordinary. Could she have made a difference, you think, if she'd been fully fit? Or do you think just the way that game went, it was like, no, nothing was going to stop Canada?
You know what, teacher? I really think she would have made a difference. She has that X factor ability about her. She's able to beat defenders. I mean, yes, it's one player, but I think we lack luster in that forward pack to really get us some go forward against a solid Canadian defence. And she might have, made a big difference. I guess it is only one player. You're right in saying that we were riddled with injuries. It was heartbreaking for Du Plessis to end her World Cup campaign. Tanya Kolanavali, she was out injured. Sylvia Brunt had a couple of head knocks. I mean, yes, she was cleared for that final, but it wasn't the most ideal preparation. But that's sport, right? And that's rugby, and have to manage those. But I'm still not sure. I don't know if you know, what is Jorja Miller's injury? She would look like she was in a sling, but then I heard it was a hamstring. So whether or not, if she's able to play now, you wonder whether or not they could have just, put her on or, allowed her to play this.
Well, I know the knee was strapped, and apparently there was a post that it was a hamstring injury, but the post was taken down. I don't quite understand. I mentioned this before in an editorial piece I did at the start, that we talk a lot about fan engagement and involving, we want the public to be invested in the team. So there's got to be some play, but I just don't think they played that quite right, that they created sort of an unnecessary confusion that, had they been more upfront, could have actually engendered some more, I guess, some sympathetic support for the team.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't want to say it, but it's almost like, have you ever heard when players save their best undies for the final? And I hope they haven't done that. I mean, it's probably not the best comparison, but you don't want to have thought, no, well, we'll save Georgia for that last game. And you get to that last game as a bronze final, and I'm sure it wouldn't have been like that.
Yeah.
But, they probably could needed to be up front, but it's all that mind games around. You don't want to reveal too much too soon, and hoping to have her back, and what degree of severity was that injury. Yeah.
So what can we do going forward to help the team? Because we can see that the standard at the moment, particularly being set by the England team and their incredibly professional setup, what can we do to help our players? Because I've been watching Farah Palmer Cup. I've called a couple of games. I'm astonished by some of the talent that's coming through the ranks. It is, players like Tolfa Basin. I mean, what a future she's got. So what can we do to do better next time?
Yeah, well, World Rugby's only just recently released the new global series, WXV series, that I think was only announced yesterday or day before, around it's going to involve 18 national women's teams. The 12 teams will include, the likes of us, Canada and Scotland, South Africa, and that there'll be a compete in a home and away cross-regional touring model international calendar. So, and that is set to run between, I believe, September to October, test windows, in preparation for the World Cup in 2029, starting next year to 2028. So already that there could be a much broader, better global international calendar for the top tier. Then it needs to filter down right into the community, provincial level. What happens with Opiki? I believe Super Rugby, it's going to be similar format. So it may be another crossover with Trans-Tasman, but wouldn't it be neat to see Manu Sina and the Fijian Drua to keep their international teams together, allow them in Super Opiki? How many of those Manu Sina players are based in New Zealand? But you're right in continuing to enhance the provincial teams that we have in the Farah Palmer Cup.
Grow it. And have a genuine Super Rugby Pacific and expose players to different styles of rugby. Now, we saw, for example, what South Africa brought, something I don't think we've really seen before. And you wonder whether, some involvement with South Africa, a bit more. I mean, it was great that the F-15 went over there. That was terrific. But can we really expect to grow if we're only playing against ourselves, sort of thing?
No, you're right. And growing the game, not only for us, but for everyone, to make the great game itself better. And I think you nailed it on the head there, TJ, around allowing those teams. And it would do wonders for that South African squad and we've got a healthy rivalry between the two nations to allow them even if it's a one away fixture. I know we as New Zealand, Aotearoa, are quite remote, and we were located in, the Pacific. But, I mean, now's a good chance for South Africa to be demanding some sort of resource from their union. And if they can get a test here, it'd be awesome. Because what we saw against them, yes, it was a second half blowout, and that was entertaining. Like, who's seen lineouts like that? And I think, and that would expose us to different styles of play.
Yeah. Look, the coaching group, what sort of a job has Alan Bunting done? I know he's a guy that likes to empower the players on the field to make good decisions on the field. It's a style that certainly worked well in sevens for him. Do you think he's likely to continue in the job?
There'll be a review. I can't say whether he'll continue. And generally, after a loss and you don't make to finals, and it's high performance, they will look to have some challenging conversations, and that comes about from the review from players and wider management. So I'm sure that will be thorough. I think his influence, he's renowned for his ability to create a positive culture, and he's got a proven record there. Tony Christie, I'm good friends with him, coached alongside him at under 18s, and I know he's innovative, and I messaged him and I said, look, hard luck, mate, you've still done yourself, and I'm sure the girls are hurting proud, and he responded, thanks, Suey. Coaches, it's hard not to look at ourselves. So he acknowledged the fact that the coaching staff do need to take some accountability, look at themselves, but they'll wrap up this campaign and look to review it. Yeah,
look, it's important, isn't it? Because, as I say, there's some phenomenal talent through the number of school-age players that are in the Farah Palmer Cup, the potential, the ceiling's so high for those. So the talent's coming through, the numbers are great. I guess we've just got to make sure they are nurtured and coached in the best possible way. And we can look forward to the continued success of this Black Ferns team at international level. Look, thanks very much, Suey. I've got to get a prediction from you, though, for firstly the playoff for third and fourth between New Zealand and France. I think I know where you're going there, but also the final, England and Canada. Can you see Canada upsetting the apple cart, or is John Mitchell going to finally win a World Cup?
I'm going to say Canada can absolutely cause an upset, and if they go in and perform like they did against us, there's no doubt that they can become world champions, and I actually hope that they do. And I really do. And it'd be hard against England. They have been the top side for so long, and they're just oozing with confidence at home. Whatever the result, I hope it's a great spectacle, that it's not one-sided, it's not blown out, and that for sake of rugby, we just see a really good display out there in the final. And I think, our girls it won't be easy against France, but I think we will win that bronze final.
This is the DSPN.